Okay, so while I'm listening to the such lovely and elegant and intelligent messages here on the streets while walking just for sportive reasons with my mother, so I'm using the sixth and seventh senses. I received two questions, practical questions, and also regarding what I last spoke about. And I think it's a good time for us to connect the practical part, the practical research part, with the mythological part. It's something that we have already done. We were never shy of doing, but we need to do it even more precisely, and I hope to start doing it right now with you. But first, the practical questions. So first question is, okay, so you mentioned the issue of conservation of matter. I mean, those neurons cannot, they can't pass the law of conservation of matter, right? Though I must say that this it's one of the more fishy laws in physics, conversation. In general, the laws of conservation, the conservation laws are not as smart as they seem to be initially. They are more a matter of definition. For example, Newton didn't know the law of energy conservation because he didn't have the idea of energy. You can say that he didn't know that energy exists, but this will be very shallow, because it's no more a matter than definition than discovery. So I've mentioned that I think those neurons can do what many years, during the vast history of humankind was considered prima facie alchemistry, which means conversion. It's not the only meaning, but one of the main goals, the famous historical goals of alchemistry was the conversion of one element to another. Of course, the usage of the term element in this aspect is a little bit anachronistic, but nevertheless, I think it's accurate enough for our purpose. But still, smart listeners raise the energy matter. They think, okay, whatever they do, they need energy. Even for the purpose of building what we already saw that they built, they need energy. So where does the energy come from? So first of all, the same as in the case of your own germs. You have germs in your body more than actually human cells. You have germ cells. Some say 3 times and some say 10 times the number. It's actually, surprisingly, it's such a relatively, presumably simple question. The question of how many germ cells, which that do not consist of the human DNA, exist in the human body. It's in great debate in the scientific community. So it's interesting. But, the number is high. So, they have their own way of conversion of energy, and that's what allows them to do their stuff. But, even more I don't know the word, perceptive listeners now raise another question, and they say, but these neurons, it seems that there is no limit, almost no limit to what they can do, besides the limitation of their physical size, and as we know, even this varies greatly. So perhaps it is possible to grant them a bonus of energy, like bonus energy, which will allow them to do their thing faster and better. And this is especially important when they're out of your own body, out of the host organism body. And we saw that they can act very well outside of the organism. They didn't create the column, the boxes in my body. They did it on the slide. So they walk, given the correct condition, they walk fine outside of the host body, the body that created them. So, maybe you don't want to interfere too much with their activity inside the host body, because, this is also arguably true, because maybe we do, but I mean, as a basic I mean, point of entrance to the issue of the botronics or nanobots, I mean, I think it's reasonable to think that the intelligent designer that created these bots originally, I mean, we can grant him the privilege of knowing the best how they should be operated inside my body or inside the host's body, the cherub's body, the body of the cherubim. But outside of the body, this gives us more playground. And I'm certainly, it's in the agenda to try and to grant them with an energy boost. The simplest one could be just, I mean, small DC current using the simple battery and 2 wires that will be connected to the slide. I mean, the slide is not is not a good conductor of electricity, but maybe we can find other slides that are better suited for this purpose, or maybe even the small connectivity of the slide itself is enough, or maybe, and this is the most, I mean, eccentric, but I mean, everything that we do is very eccentric, so we are allowed to even at least propose, I mean, ridiculous or even absurd ideas. Maybe they can be used to change the connectivity of the material that they use as a temporary host. And this is something that is not entirely alien to science for more than 100 years, the idea of changing the connectivity of material, and it's a very interesting one. So maybe I mean this is also on the menu. Now a second question, maybe a simpler one, but with a even more grandiose answer. But at least on face value, with face value, the second question is much simpler. I mean, if you placed material on the slide which is used by the Neros as resource, but the same Neros also use other material which lies on the slide as a model for the creation. I mean, they used it's obvious, I think, that they used part of it can only be, we've seen it actually, that they used minerals that were secreted from the body of the fly, and they took those minerals and they used them to create the fake leg, the very, very crude but fake leg of the fly. This is something that we've already seen under the microscope, and it's well established. I mean, it was recorded in YouTube, I think. So it's not. I mean, it might be grandiose from the point of view of people that do not know about this. About this option. But right now, the situation is that scientifically this was already established that they didn't do it. So the question is, I mean, I've spoken briefly about the issue of trying to figure out what material can be used as a source material and what material can theoretically be used as a model. But what I didn't spoke about, and this is the subject of the question that I'm now dealing with, is even if we don't take into account the question of what is used as material and what is used as a model, we still need to address the issue of how do they know what to create. I mean, they chose to recreate the leg, but I mean, they did it 3 times. But I mean, after the first time, you could argue that they just continue with the momentum. Okay, but why did they try to replicate the leg and not the head, or not maybe other stuff that was that was placed in the slide? I mean, it's not the only thing. There are, you know, that I'm far from like applying perfect scientific practices. Everything is contaminated on my slide. So they could, theoretically, they could have chosen to replicate a germ or a virus that was there on the slide. It's a question. I mean, you can argue as a counter-argument that they are predisposed to kill the germs and viruses, which, I mean, it's almost certainly the truth. But it's a question. So, as I said, it's a simple question, but the answer that I'm going to give now will be, I mean, will maybe knock you off your feet, but it's not something that is completely true, because it's related to something that I spoke about in great length in the past. Not only, I mean, probably very little on the YouTube stage, but I mean, to great lengths on the former stages, the Twitter stage and the Facebook and Evernote, which is the following. The Neros, I mean, I suspected long before I've seen them under the microscope. I know I've written about the nanobots in my body years ago, like maybe at least 3 years ago. And I've spoken in great lengths about the fact that they can communicate with each other. And I know this sounds preposterous, but I mean, it's not entirely new. And if they can communicate with each other, they can presumably also communicate with the Neros inside my own body. So, perhaps the question, I mean, the answer to the question, how do they know what to do, what model to follow? Perhaps the answer is just, I need to tell them what to do. And I mean, I didn't tell them what to do. I mean, currently on the slide that we've seen under the microscope. So, I mean, they decided to go for the leg, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe they thought that I want to replicate the leg. I don't know. It's a question. But let's not take it out of the, let's not, remove from the table at least the option of that they are not stupid. I mean, it's not only that they know how to gather any kind of material and even to change the elements according to their need and to replicate infinite number of objects, biological or not. It's possible that they can also receive the orders of what to replicate directly from me or from other people that possess Neros. Now this now connects us to some very serious issues that I've spoken in great length about, which is what kind of people, or at least on this planet, have those creatures in their bodies. And as we know, it's not only me. And it's not only the creatures I call titans, which require this this material for a purpose that, as I always say, to this point, even though I'm investigating the subject for years, to this point I do not know why they need it, because no one, I've never spoken openly with any titan in my life. I'm sure, I've spoken with many, and many of them are related to me, but it was never an open conversation, so I don't even know why they need it, and to this point. And I've received a ton of disinformation from the Israeli intelligence, from the mother, and I can say that, or at least on this front, they beat me. And yes, their machine of disinformation succeeded in misguiding me, and until now I don't know what exactly is the reason that those people, especially the female ones, require this material. I don't know. I really don't know. I have many conjectures, but I don't even have one that I'm really, inclined to think that it's more correct than the others. But it doesn't stop here, because as we know, there are another type of creatures that like those nanobots, which is the human sapiens Shabbaticus המפורסם, Shabbaticus, Homo sapiens. So, as we know, they like those very much, and they are even addicted to them. And the fact that they don't get them during the last year or so, because they were used to steal them from me without giving me a shekel, and they still want to do it. But during the last year, there was a problem with the supply, because I tend to burn them literally on the steps of the embassies in the Arcon streets, as you all know. And the problem of supply was only getting more dire during the last couple of months, where I do everything that I can, so even not one bit of dirty paper with my semen will get out of my hand. All of them will be put inside inside various clay sculptures, and the rest are annihilated using turpentine in a manner that you all witnessed, because I destroyed something like 100 standard quantities of this matter during the last 2 weeks, as you know. So I mean, it was an SOS. I had to do it so the Shabak will get off my back, because they really, I mean, their torture was unbearable, and I can't leave the house. I'm in a house arrest, unless it's I'm accompanied with my mother, as I am accompanied now. But in general, it's a house arrest, so I didn't have no option but destroying 100 standard, which I mean, we all know that 100 such standard quantities will probably contains billions of Neros, which could have helped the entire Titans population of this world tremendously. But I mean, I do whatever I can. I need to live. It's important that I will stay alive if you want me to continue creating this material. And I mean, they didn't want me to stay alive, and I had to destroy them. לא תודה. So now the issue of the Neros inside the body of the Israelis, especially of the creature that I call Titans, and Homo intelligentos Shabaktikos Mossatikos, it's an interesting issue. I mean, because arguably, if it is true that I can command the Neros inside my body, I mean, that came, I mean, it's a double, there is an innuendo here, that came from my body to do things like change replicate an insect's limb on a petri dish or on a microscopic slide. Perhaps I could also order the Neros in the bodies of other creatures that, I mean, lamentably stole them from me and never gave me anything in return, which is interesting. את רואה בעצמך אם את רוצה, את לא צריכה שאני...
כן, אני צריכה כסף ממך ואני אחזיר לך.
בסדר. סליחה.
אני אחזיר לך, פשוט לא הבאתי.
אין לך אשראי?
לא הבאתי כלום.
טוב. So, now this connects us to many mythological or pseudo-mythological issues that we spoke about before. As you know, there is a strong voodoo aspects to my existentialist, to my expressionist art. And okay, so the video is getting quite long, and I want to rest a little bit. I mean, just to walk without speaking too much. But I would say that it's far more important from my perspective. It's not that important to replicate the gold ring, which is not that expensive anyway, that belonged to my mother, because any money that I will receive from it will be taken by the government. And this is the fact. What really is important from my perspective is to make the people that ate those Neros suffer. If I can do it, I will do it. And what's the best way to do it then? To give them midah tachat midah. I mean, you know, the principle of that you get the punishment, which is directly related to the nature of your crime. And they are stopping me all the time. Currently I'm in arrest, which is ma'atzar, like stop in Hebrew, for the last 2 months. False arrest, which is done solely for the purpose of breaking me in. I mean, so I will continue to give them what they, for free, everything that I've, my body, like I've done all my life, because because that's the way they are. They treated me as a slave. But so now I'm in an actual arrest. But in any case, I am on another kind of arrest, ma'atzar, because I cannot leave Israel, because my daughters are prisoners of war here in Israel. So we are both stopped here in Israel. And what better punishment for the Israelis, specifically the ones that ate my bodily fluids without asking me, without giving me nothing in return, what better punishment will be to do them atzirut, which is, I mean, it's not easily translated to English, but in Hebrew this makes sense. Ma'atzar or atzira or otzer will be punished by atzirut, which means blockage. I forgot the medical term, but I mean, it's when you can't take a shit. I mean, and it can be extremely serious medical condition. And in the most extreme cases, the person that is affected have to go to the hospital, so they will literally open his ass, so he could take a crap. And people that have that tend to eat very small amounts of food or only liquid food because it's too much for them. There is also another midah tachat midah kan, or a punishment that is related, that is directly linked to the crime, which is, as you know, it's for many years. I mean, it's years now that the Israelis in the Shabak fantasize about forcibly hospitalizing me in an asylum, in a hospital, a mental hospital where people will open my ass literally, because that's their dream for a long time now. They want my ass to be open in a hospital, so I will get the lesson and do whatever they say without too much objections, and I mean, of course, without speaking, which they hate when I do it. So they failed. I mean, their vision did not materialize until now. But is a strong innuendo. I mean, they are going to get to eat their own cake, because their asses will be opened in an hospital, and it will be a recurring issue, because after the first time that it will be open, it will be closed again and again and again and again. Now, I must say that I'm not just speaking out of my imagination completely, because I know that it already is the case for many people in the Israeli intelligence. And of course that the reasons might not be related to me having a telepathic connection with the neurons inside their bodies, or even not to, I mean, if you don't want to see a direct divine intervention, if you want to be blind to the providence, which is absolutely clear in this case, I mean, go ahead, be blind. But there is also a positivistic, like a natural explanation, which means that, I mean, they are in some way that I really don't know how they are addicted to it. So if they can't get their fix, it makes sense that they will have some kind of physical implications. I have no idea at all I can't even start to begin to say how, the physical mechanism here works, because as I said, I don't even know what benefit the Titan females are receiving from this material, and this is something that is, I guess, much more natural. So, I don't even know what's the natural mechanism that should work in this situation. So, how can I tell what's the unnatural mechanism that is at play now, when the people that didn't, obviously it wasn't their business to eat this stuff, but they did it anyway. And by the way, not for the first time, because as you know, Israel like to repeat the same sins again and again, because that's the way they are. They want to repeat the sins because they think that if they will repeat it again and again, and eventually they will not be punished, it will be a proof, a vindication of their own history. Because then they would be able to say, you see, we have acted rightfully all along, and our punishment was just, it wasn't really punishment, but just a random action, or perhaps it was the misdeeds of some kind of evil entity, but it was not related to our crimes. So that's why they repeat again and again, they repeat their crimes. So obviously, some people in Israel already have this atzirut, this stoppage, this blockage, this inability to take a crap. But I hope this will be. I really hope that this will be greatly enforced during the next couple of days, because, as I say again and again, I need to be rescued from the Nazi prison, both me and my daughters. And of course, that's it's like, Makot Mitzrayim. I don't remember what's the plagues of Egypt. They didn't have atzirut, they didn't have the inability to take a crap, but I think it's a very fitting kind of plague, both for the modern times and also for the ancient times. The plague of stopping your ass from taking the shit until you will release your prisoners from your prison.